Hello! In this video I'm going to be restoring this Sega Dreamcast controller. Now as you can see, this controller is pretty yellow, it's dirty, it's grimy, and there's sticker residue on the front, so this will be quite a challenge to restore. And just here is a good example of a Dreamcast controller. It's nice, it's clean, it's white. And the goal will be to get this nasty looking controller to look just as good as the other one. Now as you can see, this unit it's fit for the bin. It's disgusting. It's just so dirty and tatty. Now let's have a bit of a closer look, just to get an idea of, the condition this thing is in. So you can see staining, yellow staining all over the unit on the thumbstick. Surprisingly the D-pad is okay, but yeah, let's see if we can get it to look just like this one. Okay, so the controller is now split into individual pieces. This gives me a really good idea of the condition of the controller, and yeah, physically this thing is in very good condition. There's no splits, no cracks, no major scratches, and as you can see here, the board itself, very clean and good condition. Now if you look at the thumbstick, you can really clearly see the difference between the top and the bottom part. Now the top's gone very yellow, as that's the part which is exposed to UV light, and the underside section is sort of hidden underneath the controller. But it shows the contrast between the yellow and the grey, and where we really need to get that. So let's get to cleaning the controller. So before I start any de-yellowing, everything has to be well cleaned and scrubbed up, and that's what I'm doing now. Now I'm not using anything fancy, this is just warm water with a bit of soap, and I'm going to leave everything to sit here for maybe 30 minutes to an hour, and I'll come back and give everything a nice scrub, make sure it's all clean and ready to go, and then we'll start with de-yellowing things. So once everything's in here, leave it, and the larger section on the left, at the back of the controller, I'll wash separately. I can't fit it in this little tub. Normally I would just use a sink or a basin, but I'm just using this small tub for two reasons actually, but mainly just for the video. So this is something a little different I'm trying. Normally when I de-yellow, I'll use a hydrogen peroxide based Retro-Brite solution, but one thing I've noticed is whenever something falls into our swimming pool, very quickly it turns a sort of ghost white colour, and I decided to take some water directly from the chlorinator pump and submerge the plastic in it, and it'll only be for the late afternoon. I'll let it sit overnight, and for tomorrow morning it'll get some of the morning sun and afternoon sun. I just want to see if it does something. I'd like to try it maybe over a longer period of time and with more chlorinated water, and to be honest it probably wouldn't do the right thing or give the right effect. It could ruin the plastic, but something I just wanted to try for fun. Okay, so the plastic parts have sat in the afternoon sun. They've sat overnight and they've had some morning and early afternoon sun. And look at the difference. Absolutely nothing. Now to be fair, well actually at first, when I first saw them, I thought they were a little bit lighter. But I think it's just the time of day, looking a lot brighter than it was on the afternoon. But in fairness, I think I should have really given this a bit more time and a bit more UV exposure, maybe more concentrated, chlorinated water. But this was just something I did for a bit of fun as a test to see if anything remotely happened, and in my opinion, no. There's no result so far. I might try with a more insignificant piece of discoloured plastic in the future, and just see, because it could be an alternative solution to using a Retro-Brite formula. But yeah, I'm going to count that as a small failure for the time being. So let's move on to using a proper Retro-Brite solution. Okay, so I've applied a hydrogen peroxide formula over the controller. Now I use my own application and sort of mixture for doing this, but it's just all based upon research for retro-briting and watching other people do it. So there's nothing special about what I do, I've just got my own methods. Now I'll come back in maybe an hour to 2 hours just to adjust it and maybe do some, check the progress basically, and we'll see how it is soon. Okay, so it's been about 1 hour to maybe an hour and a half, and we're getting some very slow progress. This does take a little bit of time, it can take several hours. Sometimes, these things can go over the course of maybe a day or two, So it certainly doesn't happen instantly, but we're getting progress, and I'll come back to check on this in about another hour, maybe 2 hours. So I'd say another hour has passed, and it's very minor progress, but it's certainly getting better. It's just taking its time, and as I said before, this can take several hours, maybe even a day. Now, it's early spring here in Australia, and this is probably a perfect day for doing it. It's just a nice sunny day, no clouds in the sky, and we get plenty of UV exposure, but we don't get too much heat. These are really perfect conditions, so just like last time, I'll come back in around an hour or so. So unfortunately I ran out of daylight, so I decided to bring the controller in, give it a quick clean and compare it to the good condition one, and I would say we're about halfway there. It's another day tomorrow with the peroxide solution, and I think we'll be getting there. The middle controller section with the Dreamcast logo is getting very close. I'll include a photo of how it was before we started, just for comparison, and we'll continue this tomorrow. And yeah, I'm hoping by tomorrow it should be basically done or very, very close. Now we're at the end of the process. This is the original controller from before, and here we go with the restored controller. Now it's not 100% perfect, but I think it's more than acceptable. It's very close to matching the original there on the right, and besides a small nick that occurred whilst moving it just to the top, I think it's in great condition. It's more than usable, and the transformation from how it was before, that horrible yellow, I think it's fantastic, honestly. So I'm very pleased with how this one's come out. And besides maybe a small wash and a few final adjustments here and there, it's fine. I'm very pleased with the process. So the last step is to actually test the controller, which I didn't do at the start because I was a bit too excited about getting it restored. So I fired up my Dreamcast and I'm playing one of my favourite racing games. That's Revolt, which is an RC toy car racing game. So obviously I can't film and play a whole race at the same time, so I'm just going to cycle through the buttons. Now apologies, my CRT TV will flicker probably awfully whilst filming this on my phone, so I can't do much about that. That's just my setup and how it is. So we'll go through the menu. Hopefully everything should work fine. The PCB looked very clean. I mean, whilst the shell of the controller did look quite horrible, the board looked fine. I see no reason why it shouldn't work, so let's get to it. And yeah, there we go, start works. The D-pad's working fine. Let's give the thumbstick a try. That's fine, so let's go ahead and try to start the race. Let's try going back. Yeah, I have a feeling this controller's going to work perfectly fine, so we'll jump into a race, and that'll bring this video to the end. Now I do apologise, I didn't go into every detail of the process in terms of me taking the controller apart, cleaning the board and putting it back in. I more wanted to highlight the transformation of this controller, going from what it looked like and what I got it to. There are plenty of videos of people taking things apart and, you know, doing some of the more like washing the controller. I mean, you can imagine what that's going to look like. It's just a sponge on the controller washing dirt off. I didn't see much point in filming it, but maybe for future things I might restore or repair, I'll do a little bit more teardown involved if I choose to do that. But this was more of a quick video showing the stages of this controller, explaining the method which I used RetroBrite to do. Good cleaning and RetroBrite were the key to getting the controller how it was. And I mean, cleaning the board, I think the board would have worked regardless. So yeah, I'm very, very pleased with this. I hope it's been interesting to watch, and yeah, thank you very much.